Man, I love Sonic Adventure. What's up everyone? I'm Hapnix. I've been a big Sonic nerd for quite some time now, and this is for sure my favorite title. Like, by far. Sonic Adventure was published by Sega in 1998 in Japan and 1999 in the rest of the world. It was directed by Takashi Iizuka, written by Akinori Nishiyama and produced by Yuji Naka. And its reception was really good at the time. In 2002 it was re-released for GameCube and PC as Sonic Adventure DX. Director's Cut, and in the coming years, this version was ported to a lot of different systems. But in the great majority of them it was just called Sonic Adventure for some reason. But I mean, it was just DX but with less features. Regardless, being ported again and again and again resulted in some weird differences between versions, mainly textures and physics, which seem to get weirder with each port, and that results in some interesting effects. Fortunately, for the Steam version, the one I'm playing right now, it is possible to fix some of the problems with mods, just not all of them. The game lets you play as 6 different characters. Well, 7 in SADX, if you get all the emblems. Sadly, I'm too bad to unlock Metal Sonic. The story is structured in a Rashomon style. Roughly speaking, this means seeing the same story through different points of view that contradict or complement each other. We see this a lot in the adventure mode. Well, the playable characters are the titular character and the easier to understand and play as. He's got a homing attack to facilitate hitting enemies. The devs thought this could be a problem since the game is now 3D. He later gains an upgrade that enables him to destroy enemies with a lightspeed attack. And I didn't use it that much actually, aside for those ring trails where it was kinda obligatory. Tails' gameplay oddly revolves around racing against Sonic, which is certainly a choice, I'm just not sure if a good one. He later gets this badge that lets him spin around like a Beyblade, which is fun, sure, but I hardly use it when I'm trying to win a race. By the way, if you know what you're doing when playing as him, the races can end up being kinda underwhelming. He glides around and digs holes trying to find the shards of the Master Emerald, which was destroyed in the start of the game, making the Angel Island fall into the sea again. By the way, I always thought this right here was Angel Island, but no, apparently this whole ass mountain is... Anyway, it's fun to glide and climb stuff. You can even do it in the adventure fields. Amy is surely the character who changed design the most. She now uses a red dress and long boots. Also, her spikes look a bit different. She uses her Pico Pico hammer, introducing Sonic the Fighters. Her gameplay is based on surviving this scary robot, while she's trying to return this birdie to its family. And god, I used to have an irrational fear of Zero. Like, seeing him walking towards me menacingly while randomly popping in and out every time gave me a bit of anxiety playing as Amy. He ends up being kinda pathetic at the end though. Also, seeing him again now, he kinda looks like a toilet. Amy only has 3 levels in total, making her the character with the least amount of levels among the playable characters. Even less than Big the Cat. By the way, for the longest time I didn't know you could get a new hammer in the game. I mean, you need to go back in the Eye Carrier in the same place you get the first upgrade, so I finished her story mode a lot of times without even knowing about it. Tikal might tell you about the hammer at some point though, but I was a stupid kid. Actually, I'm still stupid. E102 Gamma was one of my favorite characters to play as. I don't know, I think running around destroying robots being a robot yourself is kinda cool. Apparently this idea came to the developers by fans who wanted to play as a character that could shoot their enemies. This mechanic was also reworked and reused for Sonic Adventure 2, for Eggman and Tails gameplay, and I'm glad they pilot mechs in the game. Like, imagine playing as a regular animal character in a Sonic game, wielding like a gun. It could work out, but could also look a bit weird. Anyway, every enemy you kill gives Gamma extra seconds to complete the level, since his timer goes backwards. And I didn't notice this in my first playthroughs, because most of the time I was distracted going berserk on anything that moved. I never understood people who disliked Big the Cat. I was neutral to him the first times I played the game, but I got a bit confused when I discovered some people actually despised him. Like, how can anyone hate him? Look at his face, he doesn't have any malice in his heart. But replaying SA1, I got a bit frustrated with his gameplay. By the way, every action he does is slower than the other characters, and controlling the lure can be really annoying sometimes. I think people must have misplaced their hate for Big's gameplay into Big himself, which is wrong, because it's perfect. His story mode can be really short when you get the hang of it. There are also some items that can facilitate your work trying to fish the frog. Beside the lifeboat and power rod, there are also some lures you can easily find around the game. One in the sewer, one inside this awesome dinosaur skeleton, one in a cave near Big's home, and one in the jail inside the egg carrier for some reason. This gives Big 6 upgrades in total, making him the character with the most upgrades in the whole game, even surpassing the main character. After beating the game as all 6 characters, it unlocks Supersonic's story mode, which is more narrative than gameplay, with the only fight being at the end. Here Sonic becomes a Super Saiyan and battles Hydro Biollante. The fight isn't too hard. You just need to dodge his attacks and hit him a couple times. Even with your rings being drained by the super form, if you're fast enough, you won't have any problems beating him. Defeating Perfect Chaos finishes the game's story mode, but not the game itself. There's still a bunch of stuff to do after beating the game. You can try the trial mode, to replay the levels and fight the bosses you've already beaten. You can go search for emblems. You can just mess around in the adventure fields. Or, you can go to the Chow Garden. I've spent a lot of time playing this mode, more time than playing the actual game to be honest. Here you hatch, feed and train these little gremlins. You can buy stuff to them using rings, and can use the animals you get in the stages to raise some stats on them. You can even find some Chow eggs in the adventure fields. There is a golden, a silver, and a black one. Also in a cell? Why are an egg and a lure in jail? You can buy some eggs in the market too. After raising the babies, you can put them into competitions. Winning them gives you emblems. In the later races, your Chow gains a little medal on its chest, because they deserve it. The Dreamcast and GameCube could also connect to the VMU and GBA respectively, allowing you to play mini-games with the Chow. Sadly, I don't have access to any of this, so I can't really say how they worked. The Dreamcast version also had a lot of limitations when it comes to Chow, like not being able to name them without the VMU. The DX version uses the same system as the Adventure 2 Battles Chow Garden, which I honestly prefer over what I've seen from the original version. But if you're playing SADX and want more things to do, this version added 2 extras. The Mission Mode, where you find these cards with missions everywhere, and have to do some wacky stuff to complete them, and the Game Gear Collection, where you can play older Sonic games in Sonic Adventure. You unlock games by completing more missions and getting more emblems. Besides everything that was intentional to be in the game, I like to mess around with a thing that wasn't intentional. This game has a lot of glitches. Nothing is 100% solid. If you try hard enough, you can even get some characters into levels they weren't supposed to be. There are some problems that come with this, since they weren't supposed to be there. But sometimes, it goes a little too well. All this in the screen is just what you can do without the burger guy, by the way. Some glitches are funny, some are really annoying. This game is far from being perfect, but it kinda is to me. I used to play this a lot in the past. All the time I've spent in the original PC version, completing the main game, raising Chow, and playing the Game Gear games, made this a very special game to me. I used to play as Big when I was bored. And this game was my introduction to the Sonic franchise, which is very important to me. This game clearly had a lot of love and care put in it. And even with all the times I've beaten SA1, I still keep learning new things about it. Like, I've never stopped to talk to the NPCs to even know they have their own narrative going on. I've never noticed the Dandelions in Wind Valley, or that you can build a giant Sonic statue in Casinopolis. So even with this whole porting stuff, and this game being considered a rough transition to 3D, I'll still love Sonic Adventure forever. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope to see you again soon. Take care, and stay positive.